And this verse says, O Lord, you are the personification of all religion. Therefore, you manifest yourself in 3 millennium, and thus you protect this universe, which consists of animate and inanimate beings. Sorry. I will start all over again. O Lord, you are the personification of all religion. Therefore, you manifest yourself in 3 millenniums, and thus you protect this universe, which consists of animate and inanimate beings. Okay. By your grace, which is of pure goodness and is the bestower of all blessings, kindly drive away the elements of Rajas and Tamas for the sake of the demigods and twice born. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Lord is addressed in this verse as Tri Yuga, or one who appears in 3 millenniums, namely the Satya, Dwapara, and Treta Yugas. He is not mentioned as appearing in the 4th millennium or Kali Yuga. It is described in Vedic literature that in Kali Yuga, he comes as Chana Avatara, or an incarnation, but he does not appear as a manifest incarnation. In other yugas, however, the Lord is a manifest incarnation, and therefore he is addressed as Tri Yuga, or the Lord who appears in 3 yugas. Sridhar Swami describes 3 yugas as the following. Okay. Sridhar Swami describes Sri Yuga as follows. Yuga means couple, and Tri means 3. The Lord is manifested in 3 couples by his 6 opulences, or 3 couples of opulences. In that way, he can be addressed as Tri Yuga. The Lord is the personality of religious principles. The Lord is the personality of religious principles. In 3 millenniums, religious principles are protected by 3 kinds of spiritual culture, namely austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. The Lord is called 3 yugas in that way also. In the age of Kali, these 3 requisites to spiritual culture are almost absent. But the Lord is so kind that in spite of Kali Yugas being devoid of these 3 spiritual qualities, he comes and protects the people of the age in his covered incarnation as Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is called covered because although he is Krishna himself, he presents himself as a devotee of Krishna, not directly Krishna. The devotees pray to Lord Chaitanya, therefore, to eliminate their stock of passion and ignorance, the most conspicuous assets of this yuga. In the Krishna consciousness movement, one cleanses himself of the modes of passion and ignorance by chanting the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, as introduced by Lord Chaitanya. The 4 Kumaras were cognizant of their situation in the modes of passion and ignorance, because although in Vaikuntha, they wanted to curse devotees of the Lord. Since they were conscious of their own weakness, they prayed to the Lord to remove their still existing passion and ignorance. The three transcendental qualifications, cleanliness, austerity, and mercy, are the qualifications of the twice born and the demigods. Those who are not situated in the quality of goodness cannot accept these three principles of spiritual culture. For the Krishna conscious movement, therefore, there are three sinful activities which are prohibited. These three prohibitions are based on the principles of austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. I'm sorry, let me start over again. For the Krishna consciousness movement, there are three sinful activities which are prohibited, namely illicit sex, intoxication, and eating food other than the prasada offered to Krishna. These three prohibitions are based on the principles of austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. Devotees are merciful because they spare the poor animals, and they are clean because they are free of contamination from unwanted foodstuff and unwanted habits. Austerity is represented by restricted sex life. These principles, indicated by the prayers of the four Kumaras, should be followed by the devotees who are engaged in Krishna consciousness. Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is a very good, wonderful, and edifying purport, and we'll go over it a little bit more because it has a lot of wonderful things. Okay, so uh, in 3 millenniums, religious principles are protected by 3 kinds of spiritual culture, namely austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. The Lord is called a Tri Yuga in that way also. In the age of Kali, these three requisites to spiritual culture are almost absent. And what is that? That's austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. But the Lord is so kind that in spite of Kali Yugas being devoid of these three spiritual qualities, that is, uh, austerity, cleanliness, and mercy, he comes and protects the people of this age in his covered incarnation as Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is called covered because although he is Krishna himself, he presents himself as a devotee of Krishna, not directly Krishna. The devotees pray to Lord Chaitanya, therefore, to eliminate their stock of passion and ignorance, the most conspicuous assets of this yuga. Yeah, most people are influenced by passion and ignorance, and very few are influenced by some goodness, passion, and ignorance. But everything is mixed. There's nothing that's absolutely pure. So, how can we bring everyone to pure goodness and eventually transcendental goodness? Well, the best way to start on that journey is to chant Hare Krishna sincerely, with no material goal, but rather to just glorify the Lord by chanting the Lord's names. Krishna is glorified by chanting his names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it's not difficult to glorify the Lord. Just chant the Hare Krishna mantra. And of course, there are many other mantras you could chant, but the Maha mantra, the greatest mantra for glorifying the Lord and attaining freedom from the modes of passion and ignorance is the Hare Krishna mantra. That's why we chant the Hare Krishna mantra at least 16 rounds every day. And then 16 is the minimum, and there's no maximum. And if you want to chant 100 rounds every day, you can. There's no minimum. There's no minimum. I mean, no maximum. So the Lord is called Tri Yuga in that way. Well, let's see. It says in 3 millenniums, religious principles are protected by 3 kinds of spiritual culture, namely austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. The Lord is called Tri Yuga in that way also. In the age of Kali, these 3 requisites to spiritual culture are almost absent. But the Lord is so kind that in spite of Kali Yuga's being devoid of these 3 spiritual qualities, austerity, cleanliness, and mercy, he comes and protects the people of this age in his covered incarnation as Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is called covered because although he is Krishna himself, he presents himself as a devotee of Krishna, not directly Krishna. The devotees pray to Lord Chaitanya, therefore, to eliminate their stock of passion and ignorance, the most conspicuous assets of this yuga. Well, let's discuss that a little bit. Prabhupada is saying the devotees pray to Lord Chaitanya, therefore, to eliminate their stock of passion and ignorance. So what would be examples of passion and ignorance? Well, ignorance is pretty easy to recognize. People are smoking, drinking, engaging in illicit sex, gambling, all that is ignorance. And it only causes sickness and misery when they engage in those type of things. But they think they're very happy by doing those things, right? They go with a smile on their face to the casino to lose their money, right? If you're going to a casino, it's equal to opening the window of your house and throwing the money out in the street. You know? It's like you have to be really dumb to walk into a casino. So once there was a devotee who was he put up a table outside a casino, and he would sell books. Right? So one day I was looking at this television program, and there was a advertisement about a new casino that was open, Taj Mahal, and the person that was showing people photos of the Taj Mahal and what goes on in it. And at one point, the announcer said, "And you got to be an idiot to walk into this new casino, because you walk in and the casino is like a vacuum cleaner that's pulling money out of your pocket." So when I was watching this, it was very funny the way he was talking. And then I got shocked. I saw a devotee. Ooh. There was a devotee. They held the let's see, the camera on this one devotee, right? And there was this girl that looked like a prostitute. She had her hand on his shoulder, and she had the other hand she was holding champagne. So I couldn't believe it. I went really close to the television, I just look at it again, make sure I didn't make a mistake. But it was definitely him. It was definitely him. So fast forward, I met the devotee, and we were talking, and I said, "Where do you do Sankirtan?" He said, "Oh, I do it a lot of different places." I said, "Do you do it in Las Vegas?" He said, yeah, sometimes I go to Las Vegas to do Sankirtan. I said, do you ever do it at the Taj Mahal casino? He said, oh yeah, I do. He said, I set my table up outside, do it. And then I said, do you ever go inside? So I go inside sometimes, bath urine or something like that. I said, well, do you ever, like gamble? He said, no, no. What do you mean gamble? I don't gamble. I said, but I saw you on television. They said, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was there. This because I'm a very handsome guy. They gave me $100 free chips to, show myself gambling. I said, oh, that's interesting. But who was that lady that had her hand on your shoulder and had a glass of champagne? He says, well, that was just for the photo. Oh, okay. So, so he did admit that he was in the casino. There was the lady with the champagne, and he did have the chips, and he was gambling. So, what does that indicate? It indicates nobody can keep any secrets. No one can keep a secret. So therefore, no one should think that they can go into a casino and start gambling and get away with it. It's against the principles of Krishna consciousness. And you know, and then I asked him, "Well, why'd you do that?" And he said, well, you see, they asked me to come in. They gave me the free chips because I'm a very handsome guy. You know. Oh, gee, it's so terrible. Now, anyway, we have to be very careful about this, about maintaining austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. Those are the qualities, three kinds of spiritual culture. And culture means the way you do things. So the way we do things is stay away from casinos and always go into temples, you know. So that's our way of doing things, but it's not our way is not going into the casino. As soon as you walk in the casino, you're going to break four regulative principles. That's all it's all about that. So I had a relative who was very, very into gambling. And even my brothers also were very much into gambling, and they would go into casinos. Now, I never went into the casino, but uh, they would always talk about, whether they're up or down, So they would always talk about being up or down. And one of my brothers always lied. He always said, "Oh, always up." That means he always was winning money, but actually, he was always, but he never admitted it. He always lied. So that's, basically you break every principle in Krishna consciousness, and you also become a liar, you know, because you never want to admit that you lost money. So anyway, the so this devotee, when I saw him, sometimes later, maybe some months later, I asked him. I said, you do Sankirtan in Las Vegas? He said, yeah. I said, well, you going to you just well, where do you do it? And he said he did it sometimes out of the casinos. There's one casino called the Taj Mahal, and I said, "We ever go in?" He said, "Yeah, I go into go to the bathroom." I said, "Well, did you ever gamble?" He said, "No. Why are you asking that?" I said, "Well, I saw you on the television." There was a program about the new casino called Taj Mahal, and I saw they zeroed in on you there with chips, and some lady was standing next to it. Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, because I'm really handsome, they asked me to sit there, gave me some chips, and they asked the lady to stand next to me. So I was not wrong, right? I was right because I had to look at it 2 or 3 times to make sure it was him when I was watching the television. And so no one can hide anything. Let's put it like that. No one can hide anything. And we should never, never walk into a casino. That's like the worst place you can walk into because you will break the 4 regulative principles in the casino. You know, meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication. That's what goes on there. So I had a relative, we would call him uncle, and he was a gambler. In fact, my brothers also were gamblers. So one time, this uh, relative, I wasn't there, but my brother explained what happened. Uh, he lost $300,000 gambling. So, uh, well, no, first he was in another casino. He won $300,000. I'm sorry, he won $300,000. And then and my brother was just watching. The person that lost the money, he was a very wealthy man, and and my brother was like a relative, so he was just watching him. And then when he won that money, he went to cash his chips in and get the money. So what they do is that that's a lot of money, right? So they'll put it in a suitcase or maybe 2 suitcases sometimes, and they give you a guard or a guy with a gun that walk with you and wherever you're going next, right? So this uncle of mine got the money. He got the trunk, and then with the money in it, and he uh, told my brother. He said, "Let's go to this other casino." And my brother said, "No, why don't we just celebrate? You just won $300,000." He said, "No, no, no. Let's go to this other casino because I owe $300,000 for that other casino." So yeah, and the whole point is no one's ever really a winner unless they're a cheater. Right? But if you're just an ordinary person, you just throw the money away. And that's why the casinos get bigger and bigger and bigger and more expensive. So this particular casino, the Taj Mahal, it looked like the Taj Mahal, right? And from the outside, and it cost $2 billion in Las Vegas. Now, where did that $2 billion come from? From all the idiots that go and gamble. You know, you have to be an idiot to gamble. I mean, you're going to lose. There's no. The only people who cheat can win, but they get caught, right? And everybody else, they just go in. It's like they throw their money away. So, uh, the uh, these bad habits just create a lot of misery. That they're not, I mean, some people their best moments in life is when they go to a casino and they gamble and they drink and they talk to the prostitutes and this and that, and it's all nonsense. So never go to a casino. It's like Maya's number one place to put people in illusion. Okay. So here it says the devotees pray to Lord Chaitanya, therefore, to eliminate their stock of passion and ignorance, the most conspicuous assets of this yuga. What does that mean exactly? It means that almost everybody in Kali Yuga, the age that we're in now, is influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance, maybe a little bit of goodness, but the goodness is also contaminated by passion and ignorance. So uh, you're not going to meet many people who are really situated in the mode of goodness, and it's rare, very rare, to meet people who are in the mode of transcendental goodness. And that's unfortunate, but that's just the culture that we have. Like, for example, uh, when a kid when the child is born in a family, like most families in the United States are meat eaters. So right away, almost from birth, the child is eating meat. They don't know it's bad. They don't know it's something forbidden. And there was one time a man that was listening to a preacher, a Christian preacher, and he was explaining how bad hell is. You know? And uh, he he was to this one other person. He was saying it's a very terrible place. There's a lot of suffering, this and that. He was saying, and he said, and people who gamble and drink liquor, they'll go to hell. So the person who was listening said, well, he said, my relatives drink, eat meat, uh, uh, you know, do all those things. He said, they're going to hell. And my brother said, well, do you go to hell if you drink liquor? He said, yes. And he said, do you go to hell if you uh, engage in illicit sex? He said, yes. He said, and then he said, well, do you go to hell if you like to gamble? He said, yes. Right? So uh, he said, all my relatives, that's what they do. He said, then they're all in hell. He said, well, maybe hell is not so bad. All my family is there, so I may as well join them. this is that. This is what happens, when you're ignorant. You make these false decisions. Well, if all my family is there, I may as well go there also. Okay. Though the four Kumaras were cognizant of their situation in the modes of passion and ignorance, because although in Vaikunta they wanted to curse devotees of the Lord. Whoa, there's a huge statement. Since they were conscious of their own weakness, they prayed to the Lord to remove their still existing passion and ignorance. That's what we should do also. We should pray to the Lord to remove our still existing passion and ignorance. The three transcendental qualifications, cleanliness, austerity, and mercy, are the qualifications of the twice born and the demigods. Those who are not situated in the quality of goodness cannot accept these three principles of spiritual culture. For the Krishna consciousness movement, therefore, there are three sinful activities which are prohibited, namely sex, intoxication, and eating food other than the prasada offered to Krishna. So if you go to a casino, you'll break those three principles: illicit sex, intoxication, and eating food other than the prasada offered to Krishna. So I had an uncle that was he was a real, uh, gambler. So, and then he would regularly go to casinos. So he was in this one casino gambling. His wife was with him, and he kept losing. Right? He'd get the dice and throw the dice, and he kept losing. And his wife was there, and she kept saying, let's go. You're just losing. He said, no, 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 I want to stay here. I want to continue. So, but he had a lot of money, so he wasn't worried about going bankrupt, I guess. But he kept playing, and then the wife realized why he didn't want to leave, because there was a prostitute on the other side of the table, right? And she was sitting on some kind of a chair, but the husband was looking at her because she didn't have any underwear on, right? So he was just looking at her body, uh, and and gambling. And finally, the wife realized that, and then she got really upset. She said, "Look, you're just looking at this lady. That's why you're losing. And I'm going to leave if you don't, whether you come or you don't come with me, And she said, I might even, divorce you because this is nonsense. So this is what happens in casinos. You have prostitutes there, you have liquor there, you break all the regulative principles. When you go into these different casinos. And by the way, in Seattle, there are a lot of casinos, a lot, and people lose a lot of money. So the best thing is never to even step foot in a casino because it's a place where you can easily break the four regulatory principles in maybe 20 minutes or half an hour. That's how quick it goes in these places. Okay, so uh, it says, therefore, there are three sinful activities which are prohibited, namely illicit sex, intoxication, and eating food other than the prasada offered to Krishna. These three prohibitions are based on the principles of austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. Devotees are merciful because they spare the poor animals, and they are clean because they are free from contamination of unwanted foodstuff and unwanted habits. Austerity is represented by restricted sex life. These principles, indicated by the prayers of the four Kumaras, should be followed by the devotees who are engaged in Krishna consciousness. So that's pretty shocking, isn't it? I mean, the four Kumaras who are devotees, but they were cognizant of their situation in the modes of passion and ignorance. Because although in Vaikuntha, they wanted to curse devotees of the Lord. That's like a heavy statement. They're in Vaikuntha, the place where there's no anxiety, and they're going to curse the four Kumaras. I mean, the Jai and Vijay. Uh, so it's a oxymoron. It doesn't make sense. They're in the spiritual world, and they're going to curse two devotees to stay in the material world and suffer.
So this shows that in spiritual world also there is more of ignorance and passion.
There can be, yes, there can be. That's why people fall down. That's why we're here. You know, people think, well, you go back to you go to Vaikuntha, you can't fall down, and anybody can fall down at any time. Anybody can fall, and this is something that devotees debate all the time. Because they say, well, it says that once you get to Vaikuntha, you can't fall down. On the other hand, uh, sometimes people fall down, like Jai and Vijay. They were in Vaikuntha, they fell down. So that's always been debated in ISKCON. But the best thing is, just give up all bad activities and just chant Hare Krishna, and you won't fall down. But any little discrepancy, and discrepancies happen because people are not paying attention or they're lazy. And then, they say, well, today I'll sleep in because I'm feeling a little tired or something. And then, the next day they'll say, well, I'll sleep in today also. Still a little tired. And then all of a sudden, as time goes by, they're sleeping in every day because it becomes habitual. So it's very important not to uh, give up the austerity uh, any day. And that austerity is not actually so difficult. It's going to bed early, waking up early, chanting rounds, and so forth. If we just maintain that culture of Krishna consciousness, we won't have any problems. But if we deviate from it, then the problems start. And there's health problems, there's relationship problems, there's money problems, so many problems that start to crop. They happen almost automatically due to not being strict about following the regulative principles. Okay, so those who are not situated in the quality of goodness cannot accept these three principles of spiritual culture, which are cleanliness, austerity, and mercy. For the Krishna consciousness movement, therefore, there are three sinful activities which are prohibited, namely illicit sex, intoxication, and eating food other than the prasada offered to Krishna. These three prohibitions are based on the principles of austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. Devotees are merciful because they spare the poor animals. In other words, they don't eat meat. And they are clean because they are free of contamination from unwanted foodstuff and unwanted habits. Austerity is represented by restricted sex life. These principles, indicated by the prayers of the four Kumaras, should be followed by the devotees who are engaged in Krishna consciousness. So that's very good advice. And one time there was a sannyasi that was visiting in Paris, and he asked me. He said, "Can you just take me around Paris? It's a famous place. There's a lot of nice things to see, and I just like to look around." I said, "Okay." So I drove him to different places, and then we walked a little bit also. But when we were walking, we passed we came to a place where there was a French sweet bakery. I don't know if you've ever been to Paris. They have these, bakeries where they make really nice and very, very attractive sweets. Right? So this person was a sannyasi. So he stopped and he said, "Listen, I'm going to take a look." So he was looking at all the really nice sweets. And then he said, he handed his danda to me. He said, "I'm going to go in and take a look, better look." So he went in and he bought some sweets, started eating them. And they look really nice. But there's always eggs. There's always eggs in the sweets, some way or other. So, and when I mentioned it to him, he said, "Well, it's this. I didn't know," he said, "but it really tasted good." So what happened when he left Paris to go some other city or back to the United States? He left his dunda. He, well, I think he forgot. I don't know. Maybe he did it on purpose. He left his dunda. We were all surprised. Well, maybe we should have been surprised because he went into that French sweet shop and he started eating the sweets, and they put eggs in everything. So anyway, there's so many things that you see in life, that you can't even imagine that people would do things like that, but it happens. Okay, so he ate too many of those sweets. That's why he forgot his dunda. All right. So, are there any questions about this verse? There's a lot of things in this verse. A lot of points. Okay.
As the last sentence, these principles indicated by the prayers of four Kumaras should be followed by the devotees who are engaged in Krishna consciousness.
Austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. These three things. So, what is austerity? Our austerity is don't eat any nonsense food. Just eat prasadam. That's our austerity. But wait a minute. That doesn't sound like austerity. Prasadam is nice. Right? And And then stay away from illicit sex. Well, illicit sex is always problems, and you can never hide it. The truth will come out. Why? Because Krishna is in your heart. He's witnessing everything we do. So there's no way you can hide that.
Mercy.
Yeah, and mercy, well, mercy, we have to practice mercy. Just like Prabhupada was very merciful to all the devotees by staying up almost all night translating the Vedas into English, so the devotees could have these wonderful books, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, so many books that he wrote, so that we could spend a whole lifetime reading those books. It takes a lifetime to read all those books that he wrote. So that's real tapasya, but it was tapasya with love. His purpose was not to become a great author. His purpose was to educate the devotees so that they would not fall into Maya. They would become properly educated in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so the devotees are merciful because they spare the poor animals. And they're clean because they're free of contamination from unwanted foodstuff like meat and unwanted habits like going into casinos. Austerity is represented by restricted sex. These principles, indicated by the prayers of the four Kumaras, should be followed by the devotees who are engaged in Krishna consciousness. So what's interesting is it says the four Kumaras were cognizant of their situation in the modes of passion and ignorance, because although in Vaikuntha, they wanted to curse devotees of the Lord. So you could say also, although in the temple, because the temple is like Vaikuntha, right? Sometimes devotees get into arguments with each other. And so if you can get into arguments in Vaikuntha, imagine all the arguments you can have in the temple and in the material world. So we have to be very, very careful about this arguing and getting angry and maybe even cursing someone. Sometimes some crazy devotees will, get their Brahmin thread and they tie it around their thumb and they point it at someone and say, I'm going to curse you. It happens. It happens, not frequent, but it happens. So, I mean, this is crazy, right? How can you be a devotee and you use your Brahmin thread to curse someone? That means you're not a Brahmin anymore. The thread is not for cursing. Yeah. Okay. Are there any questions?
Maharaj, I Googled about this. Once I came to know this Prajalpa, 8 types of Prajalpa.
Talking nonsense.
Yeah. So maybe if you wanted to.
No, that's all right. Read it.
So there's first one is useless talks.
Okay.
Basically anything that doesn't talk about Lord Hari Krishna.
Yeah.
This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's summarization.
Talking about baseball, football,
Yes.
all kinds of things.
Yes.
Cricket.
The second one is arguments.
Wow.
Arguments, which is again godless quarrels like Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and not based on the Vedas. It's basically some speculation and then arguments based on hearsay,
Yeah.
things that are not based on the scriptures. Number 3 is gossip, talking about other people to establish one's reputation.
Whoa. Well, basically, you're insulting the other people, or you're talking negatively about the other people, so that you get your position higher than them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Underlying desire is some kind of increasing their own reputation.
Yeah.
Number 4 is debates, desire for conquest.
Yes, recently, what is it? Well, maybe it was about a year ago, I saw these two devotees, arguing and debating. It was some point of philosophy, right? So they were standing outside the temple, and for like, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes, they were just going back and forth, arguing about some point of philosophy. And I was watching them a little bit, and I realized, that's a disease. That is actually a disease. It's not a healthy thing to argue like that. And each one was adamant about, their point of view was correct and the other point of view was wrong. So those type of arguments are really the mode of ignorance. And we should not argue like that. And these were all initiated devotees. Go ahead.
And then number 5 is fault finding in others. That is basically imposing one's bad habits on others.
Yes. Imposing one's own bad habits on others. Yeah. Yeah, that when someone is envious and they see a devotee that has, made some nice achievement, and so they have to say something negative about it, right? Well, he probably, read Cliff's, what do you call this? You have these books that you can buy that tell you how to pass the different tests.
Oh, the Baron's
Cliff's Notes.
Cliff's Notes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I probably read Cliff's Notes. That's why he passed the test.
The number 6 is speaking falsehoods. And that's also because of one's self-interest.
Wow. Yeah.
And then number 7 is blaspheming devotees, which is the worst.
Yes, that's very serious.
And then finally, number 8 is worldly talk.
Nonsense.
Yeah. Devoid of any God consciousness.
Yeah, why don't you send that to me?
Yes. This is important because reminder. Read in the group. Yeah, I'll share it also in the group.
Yeah. Okay, so the four Kumaras were cognizant of their situation in the modes of passion and ignorance, because although in Vaikuntha they wanted to curse devotees of the Lord, that's a real big no-no. We shouldn't curse anyone. That means that someone has lost their self-control. They get so angry they want to curse someone. Cursing someone is one of the worst things you can do. Okay. So we'll go on. There are 3 sinful activities which are prohibited, namely illicit sex, intoxication, and eating food other than a prasada offered to Krishna. These 3 prohibitions are based on the principle of austerity, cleanliness, and mercy. So, when you engage in illicit sex, you destroy cleanliness. And when you eat things that are not, supposed to be eaten, and you do things like, going to the movies or so forth, that's violating the principles of austerity. And when you curse someone or speak harshly and things like that, you're violating mercy. So the devotees are austere, clean, and merciful. Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll go to the next verse, 23. O Lord, you are the protector of the highest of the twice born. If you do not protect them by offering worship and mild words, then certainly the auspicious path of worship will be rejected by people in general who act on the strength and authority of your lordship. This is a wonderful verse. Let's go over it again. O Lord, you are the protector of the highest of the twice born. Twice born means you're a Brahmana. If you do not protect them, meaning the twice born, by offering worship and mild words, then certainly the auspicious path of worship will be rejected by people in general who act on the strength and authority of your lordship. So this goes back to the when the David just wanted to know who was actually the supreme personality of Godhead, Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva. So what was the name of the person that was asked to test them? Bhrigu Muni. Yeah. So, well, Bhrigu Muni, when he went to see Brahma, he didn't. Well, he was like Brahma was. He was related to Brahma, and he didn't say anything nice to him. He just remained silent. Brahma got really angry because usually when you go to the audience of Brahma, you offer words of praise, and so then Bhrigu Muni realized Brahma got really angry and sort of threatening, so he left, and then he went to see Lord Shiva. And when he went to see Lord Shiva wanted to hug him, and he refused. He says, "No, no, no. You have ashes of dead people, and a garland of skulls. I don't want to. I don't want to touch it." And Lord Shiva got angry. He was going to kill him, but Parvati stopped Lord Shiva. Thank God. But when he went to see Lord Vishnu was reclining, and Lakshmi was massaging his feet, and he jumps right on the chest of Lord Vishnu and stamps his feet. And and even up until today, that stamp is still there of the Lord. And Krishna doesn't get angry. He said, "Oh, my dear Brahmana," he said, I please excuse me if my chest is very hard and hurt the softness of your feet. And he was like bewildered when Krishna said that. And he immediately jumped off, bowed down to him, and he asked for forgiveness. So we see. So when he went back to see the demigods, he said, "Look, there's no doubt that Vishnu is the supreme personality of Godhead. He's not at all influenced by anger or lust or anything like that." Right? So that solves the problem.
The Lord tolerates any kind of insult.
Well, let's put it like this. The insult cannot affect the Lord. It will bounce right back to the person. Right? So you can't really get away with insulting the Lord. Like I said, it bounces back. The reaction will happen very quickly. And there are a lot of examples of that. The Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are examples of so-called devotees who insult, Lord Chaitanya, and almost immediately they get leprosy, right? Or something goes wrong right away. So we should never, and because they can't really, I mean, the Lord doesn't accept insults or blasphemy. So the result of it goes back to the person that.
It's in this case, maybe that the Durga Mata doesn't like the insult of the Lord. I'm not sure. I'm just speculating, but is that how to say it? The Lord himself
Doesn't punish.
doesn't punish it probably, but it's the other devotees who cannot see the Lord's.
Well, we can't really make statements that we're not absolutely sure of that can be backed by Shastra. But we do know that, okay, so in this case, you know, the four Kumaras, they realized at a certain point that they're in the modes of passion and ignorance, because although they're in Vaikuntha, they wanted to curse devotees of the Lord. Since they were conscious of their own weakness, they prayed to the Lord to remove their still existing passion and ignorance. The three transcendental qualifications, cleanliness, austerity, and mercy, are the qualifications of the twice born and the demigods. So that's very important statements that are being made here, that you can't really have a badge of honor, like you have you're you're a Brahmana and you have the Brahmin thread and you're saying the Gayatri mantra and you're have this aura of being a genuine devotee, but then you get really angry and you curse. So that means that there's a serious spiritual problem with that person. So therefore, the four Kumaras were cognizant of their situation in modes of passion and ignorance. So they're supposed to be transcendental to passion and ignorance. But because they got angry and tried to curse Jai and Vijay, they realized, wait a minute, we're under the influence of passion and ignorance. We've made a big mistake. And it says here, since they were conscious of their own weakness, they prayed to the Lord to remove their still existing passion and ignorance. So that's, I guess, the only way we can get free of it. We have to actually pray to the Lord, and bow down and chant and so forth to get rid of these contaminations. The three transcendental qualifications, cleanliness, austerity, and mercy, are the qualifications of the twice born, meaning the Brahmanas, and the demigods. Those who are not situated in the quality of goodness cannot accept these three principles of spiritual culture. For the Krishna consciousness movement, therefore, there are three sinful activities which are prohibited: illicit sex, intoxication, and eating food other than the prasada offered to Krishna. Yes, so one time there was this man, this funny, very funny man. He came to our temple and he wanted to find out about Krishna consciousness. And we told him, well, in Krishna consciousness, there's things that we do and there's things that we don't do. So he asked her, what are the things you don't do? And he said, well, we don't have illicit sex, we don't take any intoxicants, and we don't eat food that's not offered to Krishna. And so that would mean, you don't eat meat, you don't do this or that, right? He said, wait a minute, those are things that I do every day that gives me pleasure. If I can't do those things, I may as well commit suicide. There's so many funny people in the world, but he was serious though. Okay, so any questions or comments anyone would like to make?
Any questions online? Okay, then there's some chat. What is twice born? Dvija.
Well, the firstborn is, when your mother gives birth to you. Twiceborn is when you initiated, and especially Brahminical initiation, is your second birth, that you are now beholden to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness. It's like a second birth. You're born from the womb of your mother is your first birth. And born into Krishna consciousness by initiation and so forth is your second birth.
So it's only Brahman initiation that is considered second birth?
Yes. Yeah.
So this is
you can say first initiation also, but usually it's considered second birth, get Brahman initiation. So at one time in ISKCON, Prabhupada was beginning to give a Brahman initiation to men. The women objected. They said, wait, how about us? We're also devoted. Prabhupada said, yes, you're right. So he started giving Brahman initiation to women. Normally, women don't receive Brahman initiation. But Prabhupada, he gave initiation to the women also. Yeah, Prabhupada was very much. Okay. Did they ask a question?
Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhu.
Maharaj, one question on this verse is says, if you don't protect them by offering worship. So here, Krishna also shows worships to the Brahmanas. Is that how we read here?
Let's see. Where is that said? What?
Verse 23.
Oh, in verse 23. Oh, okay. If you do not protect them, meaning the twice-born, by offering worship and mild words, then certainly the auspicious path of worship will be rejected by people in general who act on the strength and the authority of your lordship. Yeah, so you have to follow the leader. The leader, or Krishna, is giving example how to behave properly. So he's worshiping the Brahmanas and using mild words, not getting angry. So the Lord is responsible for the actions of people because they're his children. We're all the children of God. So in a sense, he's the father of everyone. And if people misbehave, especially initiated devotees, then in a sense, the Lord is responsible. So how does the Lord, let's say, guide people or rehabilitate people? Well, it's by offering worship in mild words. Prabhupada would always say, when there's some devotee committed some sinful activity or something, he would tell the other devotees, well, speak gently to them to help them understand they made a mistake. He said, go up and start, basically, calling them names and cursing them and making them, insulted, And he always said, speak mildly, speak gently. So basically, that's what's being said. Oh, Lord, you are the protector of the highest of the 12 twice-born. So he's protector of the Brahmanas. If you do not protect them by offering worship and mild words, then certainly the auspicious path of worship will be rejected by people in general who act on the strength and authority of your lordship. So you have to follow the leader But the leader has to give an example of being very tolerant and merciful, and not rejecting people, but trying to rehabilitate people. And it's not easy. Prabhupada said you have to spend 100 gallons of blood to make one devotee. Yeah, he made a statement like that.
Wow.
In other words, it's not easy to train people to become genuine devotees. It's 100 gallons of blood. So it's not easy to achieve to be a preacher. You have to be very tolerant and merciful and kind and speak with nice words and offer worship. Yes. So let's see. Today we did 23. Is that right?
Yeah, we just
We only
started.
started. We didn't do the whole thing. Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. Okay, no questions. Then we'll stop.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Maharaj, my neighbor is asking for a tulsi plant, and they are not following the four regulative principles. Like they are meat eating people. So can we give them the tulsi plant?
No.
Okay.
You can say in a very gentle way that they have to follow regulative principles to worship Tulsi. But you have to be very careful how you say it. I've said that to people in the past. They wanted Tulsi plant. I asked them, well, do you follow the regulative principles in your house? They said, no. I said, then I'm not going to give it to you. I mean, they can go and buy it also if they want to, but you have to have a certain qualification to worship Tulsi. She's a very special person. And it's not just a plant; it's actually a living being. It's nice that they want to have Tulsi, but there's what you should do is give them the book about how to worship Tulsi.
Okay. Okay, Maharaj.
Yeah, because that way it's education. If you tell them what's in the book yourself, they might not believe you, But if they see the book and they read it, they understand,
It's more positive side.
Yes.
Simply saying no, we are educated.
Yes, so you say, well, first you have to read this book, and understand what's in it.
Actually, Maharaj, actually their daughter was asking this. She is a seventh grader in middle school. Yeah.
So she wants the Tulsi plant,
Yeah. Yes.
but the parents eat meat.
Yeah. They all of them eat meat.
She does also? She does also, the
Yes.
daughter?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, let them read the book about Tulsi first.
Okay. Okay.
That's normal, right? You want to buy a car, but they also give you a book, about how to use the car. So it's a, what do you call that? It's the orientation. So they need some orientation how to worship Tulsi.
And we're actually helping them to not commit mistakes.
Exactly. And the book and the book about Tulsi will explain that. So yeah, you have to get a book about Tulsi. They have it on. I don't know if we have one here.
There's a book. Simple, I think. Right, but you know the books, right?
Yes. Yes, Prabhu. I will get it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Has Tulsi plant, even though they are meat eaters. But one thing though is they have the Tulsi plant
outside.
outside courtyard,
Yeah.
not in the house.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but they take a shower and then that's when only they offer water to Tulsi. So they follow certain things, but they are every
Yeah. And then as soon as they come out of it,
Out of the house.
come out of that morning prayer time,
Yeah.
like which is maybe a 15-20 minute routine.
Yeah.
Then the rest of the life starts. The TV takes over, the food.
Really? No. Really?
Yeah, that's how we grew up also, which is like only if it's a festival time, maybe a little longer. But otherwise, it's every morning. During the morning, you take shower, you do the worship, you do
5-10 minutes.
5-10 minutes, 15 minutes maximum,
Then you open a television.
and then that's it.
Television's
And
on
then
all
it
day.
starts with some tea, coffee.
Routine starts.
I went to see one devotee, and I knocked on the door, and somebody opened the door, and then the devotee I wanted to see was watching television. So I walk in, and television is on, and he said, "Oh, Hare Krishna," but he didn't even look at me. He just kept watching the television. So I sit down and I said, "How are you?" He said, "Okay." He's still watching the television. So he wasn't making any discussion with me, nothing. That's how, addicted they are to this television. My God, it's on 24 hours a day almost.
Make serials or the movies in such a way, Maharaj, it's very addictive. Very. You cannot miss the next.
You can't miss the
recap.
next.
Dad used to have, they're all getting old, right, Maharaj? My dad, his friends are all old. So he wants to go and talk to his friends. So when he goes to their house, um, both wife and husband, his friend and his friend's wife, both are sitting and watching TV. Even when when he goes inside, they ask him to sit, but they don't even talk to him. They're looking at the TV only. So then my dad just walks out and then comes back. We cannot go to anybody's house nowadays. Everybody is so addicted to TV. Nobody wants to even talk. They're just looking into
They keep looking at the television while they're eating.
yeah. And then apparently that Mataji served him some cool drink to drink because he came.
Yeah.
But when giving cool drink, also she's looking at
At the television. She didn't want to miss anything. That's crazy. Yeah, they should.
Purposefully make the theme like in such a way that you always want to see what is next. And
That's Maya.
yes.
Maya has taken control of them.
And just when you're about to turn, don't turn away from the.
What's that?
Like then there will be some ad like, don't turn away from this, or don't press the another button to change the channel.
Oh
It's
yeah,
coming soon.
yeah. Wow, they don't want to miss 1 second of that nonsense. Oh, I'm so glad
They are stay home wives, right? Maharaj? They don't go out or working or anything. So they have so many serials on Saas Bahu, means like mother-in-law, daughter-in-law
You mean shows?
shows. Yeah.
Yeah,
they are
So
series, Maharaj.
Series.
Runs for years. Like
serial.
yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want to miss one.
So they finish cooking. They all men in the house just leave for work. So after that, they are both mother-in-law and daughter-in-law sitting watching serials from morning till evening.
Wow.
In between, they just make some tea, drink tea, and then the maid comes, servant maid comes. She also sits and watches the. So they waste so much time,
Amazing.
and they discuss about that. What is going to happen next? They're all Indian shows, Indian stars.
Well, that's why I tell people. I said, look, you have a television. You open your window. You make sure there's no one outside. You get the television. You throw it out the window. Forget about it because it's a dangerous vehicle to keep you in Maya. Terrible. And in Indian houses, well, I mean, I don't know if it's everybody, but it just seems that they have the television on all day long.
Yeah, 24. Only when they sleep.
Yeah.
They sleep.
Wow.
And then this huge volume also.
Yeah.
Volume.
It is simply teaching our material conception of life.
Yeah.
In all different aspects.
Yeah. Sad. Yeah. We have to outlaw the television. No, the people. Well, actually, there was once a preacher that was explaining what is hell, to these coal miners, and he said, "Well, it's dark there," and he said, "And it's dusty there, and the air is not good." So the coal miners said, "Well, wait a minute, that sounds like the coal mine." He said, "We go there every day."
Yes, sorry.
So they're, basically they're in hell every day, You don't have to go in the coal mine. And then when he kept saying what hell was like, it didn't influence the coal miners because that's what they're going into the cave every day. But then he said, and there's no newspapers. They said, what? There's no newspapers? Oh God, we don't want to go there, because they have to have their newspaper. Okay, thank you very much. All
Hey,
glory to
no,
Srila
hey.
Prabhupada ki jai. Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Yeah, I'm glad